Did you have something to say?
Was it the basketball commercial?
Yeah.
I saw it.
Do you see at the end?
Wait. Aw, she's wearing a little jersey.
She dunks.
She dunks? Wait, where?
We're looking at commercials.
Oh, she does! Oh my God! Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, my bad.
Betty from Will Trent
It was
dunks a
Chihuahua
basketball.
dunking a little tiny basketball.
Yeah.
Betty the dog?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's the name of his dog.
Yeah. I watched like the first 3 episodes of this show.
You did a Cheers of the Week to it, so I thought you were really into it.
I was, but then I don't really watch network TV. I don't have TV, so
Yeah.
I have to watch it after the fact on Hulu.
Yeah.
Are you
I was showing it.
This is all recorded, by the way. This is now the show,
Oh,
but
no,
that's
we're-
okay. That's
we're-
okay.
am I-
No. Let's
Show
do
'em,
it. Let's
show
do
'em.
it. I need to see it
Alright,
now.
sorry.
This was part of the show,
No, this
or it
is
was just
commercial.
for the
Yeah,
finals because it's happening on the same.
That's it. That's it, yeah.
Yeah. All
All
right.
just drops.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That wasn't worth it?
It was worth it. I didn't even realize that show was still going.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Season 3, I think.
Season 3?
2?
I think it's.
I don't
I think
know.
it's 2. I think it's 2.
I don't know what I'm saying.
Good. I mean, I did like the show.
It is a high quality procedural.
Yeah, and I am a sucker for any Sherlock Holmes stand-ins.
I see. Yeah.
So they just do something for me, man. I like
Yes.
it. House,
a troubled genius.
Vincent D'Onofrio's turn on Law and Order.
Yeah.
You know, Will Trent's great.
Yep,
The
yep.
Mentalist.
Yep.
Like, I like shows like that. I'm into it. Oh, Lie to Me. You ever watch Lie to Me?
Yeah.
Lie to
Monk.
Me is great. Monk? Oh,
Yeah.
come on. Monk is classic.
Oh yeah.
So, any of those, troubled genius shows, that's why they keep making them.
It's
Because
true.
they work.
People keep
They
watching
work.
them.
Yeah. The Pit?
Yes.
There's a trouble. Sorry.
There's a troubled genius. Yes.
What's up, broskies? My name is Marco Dupa. I'm a troubled genius. And with my other troubled genius here, he's also great and powerful. It's Adam Obesius Rodriguez.
I'm a stable genius. Please.
I guess on the show.
After therapy.
That's true. That's true.
Sherry didn't find me that way.
You were molded that
Yes.
way. Created clay. Beautiful clay.
Yes.
Into a stable genius.
Yes.
Tonight's brew is from Sideward Brewing. It's their Carburetor. If you're local, you probably would have seen it on in the newspaper or in I think it's also in the community paper. But they were making a big deal about box, a lot of box being brewed in the city, and Sideward always does their thing, and I can't imagine this being anything more than a slam dunk.
We'll see where those expectations get you.
Uh-huh.
Oh, nice pun.
Yeah.
I missed it.
Well, speaking of slam dunks, what's on tap for tonight? We are going to talk a little bit about Mr. Michael Jordan.
Actually, we mentioned him not too long ago, too.
That we did. And probably because we mentioned him and his Google SEO went up.
Yeah.
That's probably why he got the job. He's now going to be a commentator on NBA on NBC
Right.
when they bring that back. So we're going to just talk about that a little bit.
Yes.
What else we got, brother?
We are also going to be talking about some movies. Not a trailer trash, but a movie section that is full of movies that we've reviewed trailers for, including the final reckoning of Mission Impossible. And also Final Destination Bloodlines, which we talked about not too long ago. Well, they both have early reviews in, and we are going to see how we feel about that reception.
And last but not least, we're going to talk about Millennials. We are Millennials. This is a Millennial show, and probably a lot of the comedy, a lot of the stuff that is funny to us, it may be only funny to Millennials.
Oh, no.
This show may be lost on people younger than 23, 22.
No, I feel like we do have older fans. We have like Gen X fans, I think.
No, lost on younger people, though. I know we have older fans.
Well, we'll get into it. So I was gonna propose the question: do we does the millennial culture now meld into older cultures?
Okay, let's table that because that's a good question. So we're gonna come
Put
back
that
to
seed
that.
in. Put that seed in. Think about it.
Skibbity toilet.
Oh,
We can only get into the show though by cracking open these beers and starting the show off right. This is episode 463 of the One Beer In podcast. I think even podcasts are like
yeah.
a millennial thing.
To be found by someone to save you when you're down. Yes, I'm bored when it's bright out. So bored when it's bright out. 4 to 5 a.m. takes me to a place where I fit in. Yes,
I want it to be known, always and forever, that this show, I mean, if you couldn't tell, we're on episode 463. We've been doing this longer than even, I mean, maybe there's people who are a little bit more famous than us, only a little bit more famous than us.
Mark Maron.
Yeah, you know, doing it longer than us. There's only a
Rogan.
handful of people who have been going longer than this show. So just don't you ever forget that.
We got
okay?
him pretty early, you know?
I would say so. I mean, there was definitely a boom happening,
Yes.
and we were in that initial boom. And then there was another one, this one currently, where you're like, oh, this person, this influencer has been famous for a little while. Can't wait to see the podcast drop. And there it goes. So this is the One Beer In podcast, the podcast where two brews crack open a brew, and we see where that one brew takes us. And speaking of that one brew, Obi, you want to tell the people a little bit more about what we're drinking tonight?
I would love to. This is the Sideward Brewing Carburetor Doppelbock. It comes in at a 7% ABV, and that is all the information I have because Sideward does not have any other info. I'm sure if we read the article, they'd have a bit more, info on how it's made, what's in it,
Sure.
et cetera, et cetera.
Sure.
But that's behind a paywall.
Yeah, and we're not going to pay the paywall.
Poppy ain't paying.
No.
No. We don't do that.
No. We don't pay for that sort of thing. We're not doing that. Okay, let's rock into it. You want to start? I know I introduced the Jordan topic first, but you want to do movies first?
Sure.
Let's do movies first.
Okay.
So Obi said at the top, it's not a trailer trash, but it's more of like a, I don't know, previews.
Yeah.
We don't have a cute pun for it
No,
yet.
not
We have
yet.
to come up with a better one for this.
We'll get there.
We don't usually react to reactions.
Yeah. Or reviews, really.
Yeah.
We do our
unless
own
it's-
reviews.
Yeah. But this is particularly eye-opening because of what's being talked about right now. What initial reactions are happening right now. By the way, if you're watching and you see the Knicks hat, that's because I've jumped ship, and I want to see the Knicks win the NBA championship. I'm going for the Knicks for the rest of the playoffs, by the way. I'm not just wearing this randomly. Although I could, by the way, I just want to point out
Sure.
that I can wear whatever fucking hat I want to wear.
Hat doesn't mean allegiance. We've been over this.
Exactly.
But I will say thank you. Because I, too, want the Knicks to go all the way.
Speedy recovery to Jason Tatum.
Of course.
But,
of course. Yeah. Wish him well.
Knicks in 5.
God willing.
All right.
So, all that to say, we're going to start off with Mission Impossible because I know for me, and I want to speak for you, one of my most anticipated movies of the year.
Absolutely.
This is supposed to be the grand conclusion of the entire series of Mission Impossible movies. And I can't remember in recent history I've been this excited for a summer blockbuster because of the legacy of this series. It's become one of my favorites of all time.
Yeah.
Now, I think it was just yesterday or the day before, there was an early screening specifically for social media. I believe they invited a bunch of reviewers and critics and influencers and whatnot to see it early. And
I hate how much influencers are now like just part of. I mean, I guess that'll be part of the millennial conversation, but
yeah,
like,
well, sure.
influencers just being a part of everything, man. Just being the tastemakers, and it's like, why? Because this person has a decent following on their TikTok. They get to be invited to the premiere of this movie, and then you guys were not gonna believe the Mission Impossible movie is so good. I loved it from start to finish. It had all of my favorite people. You should go watch it.
Yeah. I was expecting that from these reviews. And just looking at, I actually just looked up the movie itself, and one of the early articles was from Variety, which I no longer trust.
Yeah.
Based on the Sinners discourse, if you missed that.
So weird.
Variety basically highlighted all the glowing reviews for it. But according to Twitter, there's a far different story overall, which a lot of people that have seen the movie are saying it is one of the lesser Mission Impossibles. It's messy. It's surprisingly not very action-packed. The action set pieces that are there are very good. But the story itself is kind of convoluted and nonsensical, and it's overstuffed. And it seems like the story itself suffered for them trying to wrap up the entire franchise in one last movie. So that was my biggest fear.
Yeah.
In going into this movie.
Yeah.
Because in looking at the previews and looking at even the posters, they are showing so many characters that have been inconsequential even to the larger franchise. Like the guy who got sick in the first movie because he got poisoned. That guy's back for some reason.
That is one of my big pet peeves about series that go on too long.
Yeah.
They start to go, how much can we scrape from just to show people like, we remember that guy? Remember him? 'Cause here we, yeah.
Yeah.
Like Fast and the Furious is a big they're guilty of this a lot. They bring back characters and it's like, listen, you didn't need to do that.
Yeah.
You just didn't need to do that. It's fine. Like that guy could have just been in one movie and then left it alone.
True.
I hate when they do shit like that.
Well, and it's fan service, obviously, but
Yeah.
but you know, how much fan service can you have? And I'm saying this before seeing the movie, so it may pay off. But how much fan service can you really have for a guy that was in the first movie for all of 10 minutes, maybe?
Yeah.
And was like kind of a joke character.
Yeah. Well,
Inconsequential, other than like being a guy who almost catches Ethan Hunt a couple of times.
Yeah.
Accidentally.
But literally just being a guy. It's like Star Wars when there's a character that you're like, oh, that was
was it Shit Glutto or whatever they say?
shit. Fuck, I forgot the meme. Shit Glutto or Shit Gluppo or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, literally, it's like Shit Glutto's back, and it's like, yeah, we don't need.
Cool.
You don't need to do this.
I really
that
wanna
person was so inconsequential to the story.
Please tell me his backstory. I need to know. Okay, but all that to say, like, for an example, this is from comicbookmovie.com from Josh Wilding, and I quote, "The response is largely very positive, though it does sound like you need to do your homework and rewatch each of the previous installments to get the most out of this conclusion." No problem there.
Yeah.
Some seem to feel it's a little self-indulgent comparing Hunt to the Fast and Furious franchise's Dominic Toretto.
Oh, okay.
Overall, though, Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning sounds like a fun time at the movies with plenty of edge-of-your-seat action and a story that does right by Cruise's most iconic silver screen role. So,
by the way, if you don't want to watch the movies, you can go back and listen to Adam and I talk about all of them up to Dead Reckoning.
yeah.
Because we did that. we spent 6 episodes talking about Mission Impossible. So,
And imagine if we don't review this last one. Yes, we're obviously going to review this last one, too.
did we do Dead Reckoning? Or do we? We had to.
I
have
thought
done
we
it.
did.
We
yeah.
had to.
I
right?
thought we saw it like when it came out.
We
and
did.
Reviewed it immediately.
I don't know. I have to double check now.
Yeah. It's been a while. So this is actually kind of interesting now that I look up the discourse on the more, I guess, publisher side of things as opposed to on social media. Because social media would have you thinking this is one of the worst Mission Impossible movies. And it's a disappointment. And it's messy and not very good. And not worth the wait, essentially.
Yeah.
But looking at the actual articles written, it seems like the vast majority of it is positive. But again, we're talking about the social media focused film Twitter group. So take it with a grain of salt is what I'll say. I don't care. I don't care either way. I will still be there.
Makes no difference to me.
As soon as possible.
Yeah.
But seeing a lot of the negativity surrounding it and disappointment surrounding it disheartened me.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's kind of the case for a lot of Twitter, because there's been a lot of memes of people being like, I'm not going to listen to you guys at all. I'm just going to go.
La 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 la. It does feel like, though, if this is not like Citizen Kane, that people are they're gonna react this way. We're definitely, I don't know. I feel like people are looking for reasons to be, and not to say that like the movie might suck, but I don't know. I just feel like nowadays we're looking for more and more reasons to be a little bit more vitriolic than we need to be.
Sure.
Like
especially on social media.
Yeah. Like you and I watched Brave New World last week.
Yeah.
And although it isn't great, it definitely was not as bad as what I was reading online.
Yeah. It wasn't the movie saving the MCU that people wanted it to be.
Right.
But it was kind of more on that level of like, yeah, it's entertaining. It's fine.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was okay. It was okay. It was a middling movie. It was like definitely potential there for it to have been way better.
Yeah. Oh, you could tell that there were many writers in that room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not all on the same page.
No.
Clearly.
There is a really, really good movie in there.
Agreed. It feels like there's a lot of meddling.
But I do think that movie's a really good example of we're just chomping at the bit right now to be as negative as possible. And I don't know, like especially with a movie like this, I'm like, why wouldn't you be rooting for this? There's movies that people don't like, any MCU movie, any new Star Wars movie, any like big franchise movie, people they're already rooting against it. They're out the gate going like, told you. They just stop making movies like this. And I don't know. This movie might just suck. That's the other thing. It could just suck.
It could. Now, I will say, I'm going to read two different tweets, okay? Just to give you the full gamut of what we're talking about here. Andy Carrera, at Andy Carrera YT. Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning 2. Or, The Final Reckoning is 2 words. Absolute cinema. The perfect amount of action, heart, suspense, and, yes, nostalgia to keep both new and veteran fans entertained from the depths of the ocean to the peak of the clouds. Literally.
Okay.
And then we have David Ehrlich, who says, Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning is... Oh.
Sorry. That was us. That was us breathing.
From David Ehrlich, Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning is dull and dysfunctional in a way I didn't think this franchise was capable of.
Damn.
Set pieces are obviously incredible, but as someone so supportive of Cruise's crusade to save the movies and whatnot, this was a massive heartbreaker.
Wow.
So, just to show you two sides of the coin as far as discourse on social media goes.
There are two wolves.
Yes, within you, and there's some that are kind of in the middle too. Like I've seen a few reactions that have been basically like the first half or the first hour of the movie is kind of slow and disjointed, but then things kick off and it's breakneck until the end. So again, Does this change my desire to go see the movie? No. It does worry me a little bit, though. I'm not gonna lie. It does worry me a little bit.
It's a little,
I'm
a little troublesome.
I'm a little disappointed that these aren't just like glowing reviews of like this is the way you cap off a series,
right?
Yada yada yada. And I think that's what most people were hoping for.
It's a little scary,
and that's
like,
not,
oh no,
seems like that's not what we're getting. So
like, it's not gonna be. I don't know though. I think. Oh, here we go. I found it. we stopped at Fallout.
Really, we didn't review Dead Reckoning.
No, we did 1, 2, 3, Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, Fallout, and then we just didn't do it.
Huh. Weird.
Yeah, I know, right?
You'd think we would.
You would think that would be the whole point of all of that.
Well, I guess we got to rewatch it to review it.
I guess we do. And then we got to add it. You know what we should do is pull those episodes. They're pre video podcast.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, they're all the way back in the before times.
Oh. What year was that? What year is it?
What year is it? This was. Why won't it just tell me?
We can look it up later. It's fine.
I can tell you it was like 2019.
Okay.
It was way, way back. Because you turned 30.
Okay.
You turned 30 like 10 episodes later, so it was 2018 actually. 2018 episode 195. So we're going all the way back to
So Dead Reckoning wasn't even out yet.
So it wasn't out yet, yeah.
Yeah.
So why did we do this? For Fallout, probably.
Probably for Fallout, yeah.
Yeah. And then just didn't go back and didn't go back and finish it.
We may need to keep scrolling and see if we did.
Maybe we did.
We may have later on down the line when it came out. Because I kind of remember doing it. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter right now.
I thought we did it as well.
Yeah, I remember. It may be a false memory. Maybe it was just us talking without a camera and microphone in front of us.
We did Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
So like some of these aren't on YouTube. Like a lot of these aren't on YouTube because they're just audio.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, we did an episode about the Shane Gillis thing. That's so funny because he's so big now.
Yeah.
It's so funny to
Who would
think
know?
about.
Who would know?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna keep going through this, but it is interesting to see the Corona Chronicles.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Getting PTSD just thinking
just
about
looking at it remember that?
Yikes.
This is when we started filming it though, because this is when we did the Five Bloods.
Yeah.
And then we pretty much get into
Mission
Impossible First Spawn. Yeah.
So much good content you guys can look up.
I know you guys need to go back through these and really,
hours and hours.
Yeah, because this is when we start doing it. Mark One Brewing Christmas special.
Yeah. The yearly Christmas special.
Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. We did that one. No, we didn't do it though because here's the thing.
It would have been out by.
It would have been on YouTube.
Yeah.
At this point, because now we're at Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and that's on YouTube. Episode 300's on YouTube.
And
this is YouTube stuff. Now.
That definitely came out after.
Yeah, so
Dead
we just
Reckoning.
didn't do it. I think we just didn't do it.
Wow, what an oversight!
It's crazy because we definitely went and saw it.
Yeah,
together.
yeah, absolutely. We
And
definitely
then just
saw
were
it.
like, I can't imagine. Maybe I skipped over it.
Could be.
I don't know.
We'll
We'll have to go back through it, but we're not going to waste any more
Look
time
it up.
on it.
How do you feel about this reception? Does it change your anticipation for this movie, or does it not really matter to you?
I'd say I would be lying if there wasn't slightly inside of me a little nugget of that sucks to hear.
Some doubt.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't change how excited I am or how much I'm gonna go see it, but it does. There is something in there that you're like, oh no,
Yeah.
they didn't stick the landing. Maybe not. Who knows?
And
but
again,
there is because it's the same thing with again, bringing up Brave New World. That was kind of how I felt about that because I was really, really excited. I was really excited about Anthony Mackie as Captain America. I was really excited to see how they were going to take the story, especially after Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
So when it came out and it was it's all right.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn it, that sucks. So that did
Should have
kinda,
been a statement.
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, I didn't go and see it in theaters. So maybe, subconsciously that kind of thing does maybe affect me more than I would be willing to admit.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely. This is not going to stop me from going to see this.
Absolutely not.
This is one of the ones, dude. Like you and I, and Cherry. Yeah. If you want,
What?
nothing.
never mind.
You got too excited about it.
You want it too much.
Yeah.
To see Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning.
Oh, he's made me watch all of them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you have to. You can just tell them no.
He took me to the theater for the first part.
Yeah. We saw it together.
All three of us?
Yeah.
We had to have.
Yeah.
I'll do it again.
I'll do it again.
Because I don't know who. I wouldn't have gone by myself.
No,
It
we
was
definitely
us. It was
saw
us.
it together. We definitely saw it
Yeah.
together.
I mean, I would go by myself. I don't have a problem. No, but I wouldn't have a reason to go by myself.
Look, I think one of the secret
It's
joys.
like a Mandela thing.
One of the secret joys of life is going to see a movie in a movie theater by yourself.
Oh yeah, I've done it. I've done it plenty of times.
People think it's this. It's sort of like how people think about eating out somewhere by yourself.
Done that plenty of times too.
Like-
yeah.
Okay.
Getting ate out by yourself.
Oh, wow.
Doesn't even make any sense.
How does that happen?
Somebody's doing something.
Sounds like there's a device involved. Yeah, I don't. I think more people need to just spend time by themselves. You know,
Yeah.
just enjoy it.
I agree.
Embrace.
I agree. I do. I agree.
Embrace it.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. No, you should be able to just pop out, just do the. When people get weird about that sort of thing and get like embarrassed, like, oh, I don't want to go see a movie by myself.
Don't want to look like a loser.
Yeah, like who cares?
No.
Especially, and again, this is another thing that may contribute to the millennial conversation, but it's like that is such a young person's state of mind to think I can't go do something by myself. What will people think?
Yeah.
Hey, spoiler alert, no one gives a fuck.
No one cares.
No one cares.
No one cares.
They're not going to look at you and be like, look at this fucking loser by himself.
Yeah.
I've never thought that, except for the one person who fell asleep. I did think that. I was like, what are you doing? Just
you
go
doing here?
home. You don't have to be here. You really don't have to be here. Like,
Yes.
who's forcing you to see this movie? That you came out tired and you're by yourself.
They've got the regal pass.
They must just, and I was talking to somebody about that, and I think they made that point that like maybe they just go to like take a nap in a movie because they have the Regal Pass.
If you can see unlimited movies, why not?
Because you'd have to leave your home, you'd have to leave the comfort of your bed to go be like, let me go be in this theater with strangers and fall asleep. They were asleep, yo, like snoring. Yeah, they were just far enough away that it was funny and not disturbing.
Yeah.
But it was if
You
they
just-
were
you
any
just hear a-
closer.
It's like a pug.
Like, I just wake them up. I have no problem being like, hey man, this is a movie.
Yeah.
Like, go home.
Right.
Just go home. What's wrong with you? But yeah, that person was by themselves. That was the only time I ever thought, what are you doing here?
But that was because of the sleep, not because of the alone factor.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of the last movie I saw by myself. It was years ago, but I've definitely done it multiple times. I think I saw Spider-Man by myself.
The last movie I saw by myself was Hereditary.
What's wrong with you?
I don't know.
Who goes to see that movie
I saw it
by
after
himself?
work by myself because it was almost out of theaters.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've heard too many good things about this movie.
I think I rewatched The Dark Knight by myself because I was like, I need to see that again.
Yeah.
I watched that movie. That was back in the day when you could afford to watch a movie multiple times.
Sure.
And I'd go see a movie like multiple times. I didn't have anything else to do. I'm like, I'm just gonna go see The Dark Knight again.
Why not?
I think I watched that like three or four times.
Yeah.
And one of them was by myself. I rewatched Inception by myself too. I definitely was like, I need to see this again.
Yeah.
This is too good. Nolan movies.
Nolan movies.
Yeah.
Worth a revisit, even alone. Okay. Another movie we're definitely not going to miss. Final Destination, Bloodlines. Which is coming out sooner than Mission Impossible. So it has more official reviews, including Rotten Tomatoes score, which is at 92%.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Incredibly high. The highest of the entire franchise thus far.
I mean, like, I need you guys to go. Well, actually, you can. Do you have the? Can you pull up just all of the Final Destination Rotten Tomatoes movie like scores?
I'm sure I can.
I just need you guys to understand that, like, I think the first one got rated okay. The second one probably a little bit higher. I think the third one's pretty decently reviewed. And then after that, it's just dog shit after that. And so I know this score is going to drop because it's only like 50 reviews so far. But even still, any Final Destination movie that scores this high is that's something.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's really something.
Okay, so the first one, Rotten Tomatoes, has a 40%. So not very high. Metacritic of 39 and a cinema score of B-. Final Destination 2 has slightly better, 52%.
Okay, so I was right and wrong at the same time.
Yeah, it's all relative. 39% Metacritic and a cinema score of B+. Not bad. Final Destination 3, 44%. A little bit better than the first one. 41 Metacritic and a B+ as well for cinema score. The Final Destination, a whopping 28%.
That movie does suck.
It does suck. 30 Metacritic and a C. Final Destination 5 has a 63%. We're getting there.
And it's only because of the twist, I can guarantee you that.
Oh yeah. 50 Metacritic and a B+. And then so far, as we said, Final Destination Bloodlines has a 92%. But that's with an asterisk because it seems like most of these movies get at least 100 plus reviews, and we're currently at 51.
Yeah.
So expect it to change, but it's currently, by and large, unless something dramatic happens, it will be the highest rated.
I mean, over half of the reviews so far have been positive.
Yeah.
It has a Metacritic score of 75. So even if it drops to 75 Rotten Tomatoes, that's still better than every movie in the series and still like a decently reviewed movie.
By far, yeah.
Yeah,
By
so-
far the highest reviewed by Rotten Tomatoes.
I'll be honest with you. I'm pretty shocked that the first one has such a low score.
Me too, because it was such a moment when it came out. I remember everyone talking about it and it being a big deal, and obviously big enough to spawn an entire franchise.
Yeah, and not only that, but like I think it's a good movie.
It is.
Like I think it's an original idea. I think that maybe the execution was a little body horror, gore porn kind of. I mean, it is just really graphic deaths that happen throughout the movie. But like, I thought the plot was, if you're looking at especially movies that came out around that time, the like teen horror movie or teen thriller that was happening in that era.
I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah.
Ilk.
For them to do something that was kind of, to literally say like, how can you fight death? I don't know. I'm not to say that it's like a genius idea, but I thought it was at least original enough in that era to warrant higher than 40%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
I think that one needs to be reassessed.
Definitely,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
And apparently, this is in the critics' consensus on Rotten Tomatoes. It has people who worked on the X-Files that worked on it.
Yeah.
So
apparently, I was doing a little bit of research. It was a spec script for the X-Files.
Makes perfect sense.
And then somebody was like, you should make that into a movie.
Yeah.
And then that's how that happened. So it was supposed to just be a X-Files episode.
And now they're bajillionaires. Congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it checks out. It's a good concept. And I think it kind of spawned its own genre.
Yeah, for sure.
That no one else has really tried successful, except for The Monkey, maybe,
Yeah.
which we haven't seen yet, which I would like to see if you want to see it.
Yeah, I want to see it. I still want to see it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think people need to put more respect on Final Destination's name.
Yeah, I think so, for sure.
As we said before, we're a Final Destination podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the fact that it does have such high critic reviews so far has suddenly propelled this into I'm definitely going to see it in theaters.
Yeah.
When it was I might see it.
I'll catch it at some
after
point.
a couple of other things.
Yeah.
It's shuffled my order of things, and now I'm excited to go see this movie.
It is shocking. It is
Yeah.
really shocking
Yeah.
that it's done this.
Yeah.
92% is crazy. Even if every review was like, it's okay, and Rotten Tomatoes was like, positive,
Right.
that's enough.
Yeah.
Because, Rotten Tomatoes will do that sometimes.
Well, it's an aggregate again. So the way it works is obviously if it's even like anything other than not good, it's going to be tomato as opposed to rotten. So you have to read between the lines, and again, read the critic reviews themselves to get a full understanding of what we're actually talking about here.
I used to, I used to spend so much time reading reviews, reading music reviews, and reading movie reviews.
Yeah.
Just sitting around just all day, just taking in.
I used to be excited to get the newspaper and read on, I think it was Fridays, they'd release the reviews and see what those movies got that were coming out and be like, all right, that sounds good.
I never liked the little blurb. I was like, dude, fucking go in, man. I need you to like write words that I've never seen before, so I get to like look them up in a dictionary.
How are the actors?
Yeah, I need to really, really get why this was bad.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, what do you think after this critical darling, apparently, of a horror movie?
Well, again, it's just like I was excited about this movie. It's a little validating that it's
they
getting
finally
good
came
reviews.
around to it.
Yes,
to the truth.
So it's like it's nice to see that, and it does make me interested in what must they have done that is so drastically different from the rest of the series that has gotten all of these reviewers to be like, actually, this one's pretty good.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'll give you, although you hate them, I will give you 3 blurbs. Okay.
Okay, give me the blurbs.
One from Todd Gilchrist from Variety.
Fucking Todd.
I know. He gave it a positive. While a canonically satisfying send-off to the late Tony Todd's William Bloodworth bolsters the series' morbid gravitas, a cast of playful, mostly likable 20-somethings keep proceedings light in juxtaposition to the filmmaker's fiendishly inventive kills.
I will say that helps in movies like this.
Yeah.
When you have a good cast of even unknown actors, if they're just likable.
Yeah.
If they do well.
The worst horror movies have just a cast of either uncharismatic or flatly unlikable characters.
Yeah. And I think that the Final Destination series suffers from that sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think that's why 3 is so well received, because Mary Elizabeth Winstead is so good and everything, really, but she just has no choice but to be good in movies. So she's great. And I think that helps. And that's what I like about the first one so much. I think Devon Sawa is like really likable.
It's a great ensemble.
I think it's a good cast.
Yeah.
And isn't Sean William Scott in it? Isn't Stifler in it? Look that up. I may be like imagining another person.
Might be definitely one of those guys. All right. Cast and crew. Come on.
Cast and crew. Give us the whole cast, the whole crew.
Devon Sawa, Ali Larder, who does show back up later.
Yeah.
Kerr Smith, Kristen Cloak.
Well, she dies off screen. Yeah, there you go. Sean William Scott.
Oh, there you go.
In it. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
He gets his fucking head.
That's right.
Cut off. Yeah. Half his head cut off.
Yeah.
And then I think he blinks at them.
Oh yeah, on the floor.
Which is okay. Maybe that is dumb. That's dumb.
It's fun. It's fun. Makes it enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, that helps. Go back to the blurbs. You had another blurb.
So we had that one. Then we have another one from Perry Nemiroff, who is a YouTuber apparently. Gave it a 4.5 out of 5. Not only does Bloodlines scratch the itch the original started, the twisted thrill of what happens when you get caught up in death's design, but it does so by putting a genius spin on the lore, one that well serves its high concept and its characters.
Okay, so there's a little twist.
Yes. And then, we have our first rotten score. which is a 2.5 out of 5. So it's middling, really. It's not even completely rotten.
Yeah.
But it's rated as rotten by Megan Navarro from Bloody Disgusting. The highs of creative kills and Tony Todd's poignant final bow are offset by an underdeveloped story that struggles beyond its solid concept. While uneven, it does at least succeed in delivering some summer horror fun.
So, all right, here's my question. Do you think that it's one of two things? Either Tony Todd is in this movie a lot more than he has been in the past,
Or he's just really good in a little bit.
or, so I guess that is a third option, or these fucking reviewers are falling over themselves to give this, like, obituary for him.
Yeah.
Because in the movies that he's been great in the Final Destination series, but they've been one scene where he kind of explains what's going on. He's super creepy and he's great, and you're like, ooh, I don't know. Is he Death? Is he Death incarnate, or is he like Death's assistant, kind of explaining what's going on? What is his role in all of this?
Right.
He is obviously supernatural. He knows everybody. Blah 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 blah. What? Right? But not to say that he was giving some like Oscar-worthy performance. He was good.
Yeah.
So,
As he was in everything.
yeah. And I don't know. It just feels like some of these reviewers are like this
A little bit nostalgia,
poignant
maybe?
bow out of a performance, and it's like, okay, I'll just say this: I'm gonna be pissed if we go see this and he's in one scene and he does what he
"I'll
does in
see
every
you later."
right, and then it's like, oh, okay, that's this big, you know.
They put a little too much into that performance, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt for now because I want to believe that it's more than that.
I want to believe.
And it seems like, what we can gather from these reviews, that there is sort of a bit more to the concept that they play out in this movie.
Yeah.
So that has me hopeful that there will be a bit more involvement with Tony Todd as potentially Death incarnate and playing with those rules and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even the worst review that we've seen so far seems like they're still like, it's a good time.
Yeah.
You know? So, fine by me.
Yeah, 2.5 out of 5 is basically
That's middle of the road, baby.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Free me from these bonds. Sorry, I just need to get this mic cord out of the way.
Very Final Destination of you.
I just needed to man spread a little bit.
Get wrapped up.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's all we got on that.
Yeah.
Excited. I'm excited.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, either way, both of these movies, doesn't change the excitement level. It does kind of give you pause with the Mission Impossible movie, but
I will say it just gives me some level of expectation adjustment. So that may work out for the best.
Yeah.
Lower the expectations a little bit. Go into it. Maybe get surprised. Or be whelmed.
maybe it's a
instead
good
of
thing. Be
underwhelmed.
whelmed. Just be whelmed.
Yeah.
I'm whelmed.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I will leave feeling okay if I'm whelmed by
Yeah.
the end of either of these
I can
movies.
be whelmed.
Yeah.
I can be whelmed.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right. Switching gears a little bit. Staying on the same beer. We haven't switched beers, and some people might not even know the bit.
They may not know what we're talking about. Right
Yeah.
now. Hasn't happened this year yet. So
It hasn't happened in like 3 years, I think. I mean, I don't think it's been a long time since we've done it.
Okay.
But
why don't you change that?
yeah, I agree. So we talked about Michael Jordan a little bit, and again, like I said at the top, I think because we spoke about him,
Yeah.
is maybe the reason why he's picked up this new gig.
You're welcome, Michael.
There's no way for anybody to know. There's no way to verify that information.
No.
And so we're just going to run with it. You're welcome, Michael Jordan.
We would like a cut, if possible.
Anything. Just, honestly, just give us Jordans, really.
Sure.
I'd be
I'll take
good
it,
with that. Yeah.
Some Jordan gear.
Yeah. He's going to be on as a special contributor for NBA on NBC. They're doing like a whole thing, man. They're trying to bring the whole thing back. They're trying to do the theme song and everything.
Yeah.
Which is so funny because we're all just slaves to nostalgia.
Absolutely.
And not even just like nostalgia on his face, but 90s nostalgia specifically. It feels like
that's the next era. We already did 80s nostalgia.
right.
So 90s is
So now we got to
next,
do the 90s thing. So we're doing all of this 90s stuff. People dress like it's like the late 90s, early 2000s. The music is all from 1997. It's just, and this is another thing where they're like, how else can we capitalize off of this? Well, let's bring in the guy who ran the 90s, Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
So, I mean, first and foremost, everybody was super excited. Like, oh, finally, we're going to have Michael Jordan speak at length about the sport, which he does not do. Very rarely does Michael Jordan give his opinion on anything basketball related.
He's, kind of overall a recluse these days.
When it comes to being like, for a guy who for 10 straight years was one of the most famous human beings on the planet.
Yeah.
He has definitely done the opposite of that in his later years, which is really interesting because he is still one of the most famous human beings on the planet.
Yeah.
I mean, he's Michael Jordan. You see him in them big ass jeans, and he's hard to miss.
Talk about bringing back the 90s.
I mean, he's 6'7", and he's Michael fucking Jordan.
Yeah.
So he's hard to miss. But he after he retired, like really retired from the Wizards, he did kind of make a career out of playing the background.
Yeah.
Which is just interesting because like he's such a it's interesting that he was even able to achieve that, because people usually with his level of fame can't walk outside their front door.
Yeah.
You know. And so for him to be able to do that for the next 20 years, 25, almost 30 years.
Yeah.
And then to turn around and be like, yeah, all right, now's the time.
It just seemed like he didn't have really a desire to be, the face of anything, to be out there promoting stuff and, being a correspondent or, switching gears into another thing that has him in all this celebrity that he had when he was playing.
Well, he talks about a lot, a lot about being the greatest of all time. He doesn't call himself that, which is interesting. Anytime the conversation of like the age-old debate between him and LeBron, which we talked about on the show.
Sure.
Michael, for his credit, is like, you can't really do this because there has been a GOAT of each era. I can't say that I've been the greatest of all time. There's Bill Russell, there's Kareem, there's Wilt Chamberlain. Like you can't put me as the guy when all of these guys before me were the guy before me. So he's always kind of pushed back on the idea that he's the greatest of all time, which flies in the face of everything that we've ever read or seen about him being like the most aggressive, most competitive human being on the planet, and wanting nothing but greatness at the expense of everything else that he cares about.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's interesting, and I wonder if he is going to bring that same kind of energy to just being a guy who comments on stuff.
And that's my biggest question about this gig is, how is this going to work out? Like, we don't really know his personality as far as a broadcasting entity.
Right.
Like, we've seen him recently, obviously, in the documentary. Probably the most we've ever seen him talk on any one thing. It just happened to be about himself. But
right.
Like, what does he think about current players, the current NBA? What's his opinions going to be? Like, how is he going to be on the mic? All these things are big question marks to me, because, I mean, it's been few and far between that we've seen him really, to this extent, commentate on current day NBA.
Well, and I wonder if the Tom Brady thing kind of influenced his decision even a little bit, because Tom Brady retired and then almost immediately started being like, a commentator on, and for all intents and purposes was not that good in the beginning.
No, he wasn't.
And he's still okay.
He's gotten better.
And I think that's one of the other things that probably, like, Michael Jordan probably understands his level of fame better than anybody else. And he probably understands the idea of like legacy. I know he understands, because when it comes to his shoes, when it comes to his image, when it comes to everything that has to do with Michael Jordan, it's so specifically curated that it, to me, as a person who like is interested in that sort of thing, Michael Jordan's idea of how to navigate what it means to be Michael Jordan is very interesting, because he Michael Jordan himself very clearly thinks long and hard about what it means to be Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
And
The brand.
Yeah.
What is Michael Jordan the brand? And he was clearly thinking about this like as early as the late 80s.
Yeah.
Once the shoe deal went through, it's like it seemed like he had the mind for it.
Yeah.
Or you know, some guidance to help him
Yeah, somebody had the mind
figure it out. And
for it. If you believe that movie, it was his mother.
Right, yeah.
that Ben Affleck movie.
Could be.
So, you know, it's interesting to see, like, okay, he has finally in his old age gone, who gives a shit? I got nothing else going on. I've played enough golf. I just want to talk about basketball. But again...
Or crippling gambling debt.
Or crippling. Yeah, maybe he owes a shit ton of money, and they dropped a fat sack, because anybody who could get Michael Jordan to talk at length about basketball, you know they dropped a grip on it.
He is a unicorn for commentating.
But what's funny is LeBron has maybe 2 seasons left in him. And now Michael Jordan's like, all right, now I'll talk about basketball. Kobe, rest in peace, gone.
Do you think
LeBron gone?
Do you think that's part of it? Is him being like, I'm not going to let this guy one up me.
I don't know. Well, I don't know if it's that, or I don't know if because if he was a commentator while LeBron was playing, he would only get asked about LeBron. Sure. That would be the constant conversation of, what did you think? I mean, that's what ESPN does anyway without Michael Jordan. So I can only imagine that anytime that Michael Jordan even talks about basketball a little bit, they're like, what do you think of LeBron? So, yeah, I don't know. I wonder if a little piece of him was like, I'm not gonna do this until LeBron's out of there, because the only questions I'm ever gonna get are LeBron questions. They're gonna talk about legacy. They're gonna talk about who's the GOAT. They're gonna talk about who's better between me and him. And I'm gonna have this conversation every time that I show up in an interview. And he just doesn't want to deal with it. Or maybe he's just bored. Maybe he was just in a crib and he was like, I got nothing else going on. Fuck it.
It's just funny that he decides now to do it, you know? Like, after all these years, there was a lot of time for him to get his foot in the door as far as this commentating gig goes. And he decides now, in his 60s at this point.
It is a very strange time.
But, yeah, I'm a little excited. I want to see how this turns out, you know? Like, I kind of wish he, and this may be the case actually with this new gig, but I want to see how he interfaces with the old timers of his generation and like commentate with them too. You know,
honestly, I don't think he's gonna. I think it's gonna be him,
just his show.
And what I think is gonna happen is gonna be a show with, you know, what they usually do.
Him
is
and a journalist. Yeah.
Well, I think he's gonna be brought on. I think they're gonna ease him in. Like we were watching the Magic game a couple weeks ago, and they were talking to Udonis Haslem. So Miami was still in the playoffs, and Udonis was just not good.
Sure,
and he just wasn't. I mean, because he doesn't do it that often. Yeah. There's guys who fall into it and they're great. All of the NBA on TNT guys, obviously are great. Shaq was immediately great. Richard Jefferson was immediately great.
Yeah.
Kendrick Perkins, idiot. So
he got struck out every once in a while.
So there are guys. Chuck immediately got it. Yeah. Immediately understood what it meant to be an entertaining guy on TV. There's some guys who get it, and there's some guys who don't. Sometimes you watch dudes on TV, and you're like, "Oh man, this is why he never was in the post game." And it wasn't that he was too tired or like sports were too much for him. It's because he just doesn't know how to talk on camera. So that's going to be the other thing. Like Michael Jordan very clearly knows how to. He's Michael Jordan. He was in Space Jam.
He was in Space Jam.
I mean, he talked to Looney Tunes. He can talk to these fucking idiots on TV.
It's true.
But I do think they're going to ease him into it. So I do think there's going to be, journalist. And then I do think there's going to be like former player, like maybe a Richard Jefferson or something.
Sure.
And then, Jordan will come up on the screen.
Use
and
him
it'll
as
be
like a color commentator. Pop in.
Yeah. It's like, all right, now we got Mike who's gonna give us his intel on.
What's your halftime review of this game so far?
But what I guess the most interesting part about all of this is like Michael's actual insight into today's game.
Yeah.
Is going to be very interesting to hear because we
and
just
hubris or lack thereof.
Right. Like, how is he going to talk about and experience today's game?
Soft.
We don't hear him talk that much about it unless it's specifically about a Kobe Bryant or a LeBron James. Sure. So I'm very interested to hear, like, how much he respects the game or doesn't respect the game. Is he going to be a craggy old man and be like, they don't play defense like I play defense? Mm-hmm. Or is he going to be like, well, I get it. This is the game evolves and this is what you have to do. Is he going to have a brain for it? Like some guys, even like supreme athletes, you hear them talking, they're like, oh, okay, you just understood how to like do what the coach told you to do, but you don't really like it. But you hear like LeBron talk about basketball, and he's very clearly a very high IQ player. Like he understands the game. When you hear him recount plays, for instance, and he can tell you to the minute what each player was doing and why he did what he did and why that guy did what he did and the mistake that was made or the mistake that was not. He can really like LeBron James is a basketball genius. That's and I do think, ironically enough, LeBron is actually the more interesting person to wonder if post-playing career, is he going to be like a commentator, special commentator? Because he is the one who I really am like, this guy really understands basketball on like a molecular level.
I have zero doubt that that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah. I don't know though, dude, because he does all of these, like the barbershop show. And what I think he'll do is like a podcast or something. Because he started that show with JJ Redick, right? He was doing a JJ Redick thing, and then they hired Redick as the coach, and then that got weird because they were like, well, that's they can't be like
conflicting interests
week in and week out talking about like what happened and everything like that.
Right.
So I don't know. It's exciting though.
That's a good point. Either way, I can guarantee he's going to be commentating on the NBA when he retires.
Yeah,
there's no way. He doesn't.
He doesn't just ride off into the sunset.
No. I don't think he disappears in the way that Jordan did, kind of.
Right.
So, I guess we'll see.
We'll see.
Yes, we'll see.
This next season. That was a question.
Huh?
I said, "Is it next season?" And then you clicked away from the article.
They according to NBA.com. They said it's for the 2025-2026 season.
So the next season.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, go.
It's just confusing because it's currently 2025.
I know
it's the finals.
The season's always weird. Whenever they do that, it's always weird. It's a weird way of doing it. It's a little weird.
But yes, next season. Look out for good old MJ.
Yeah. Well, speaking of MJ and the kind of generation that would give a fuck about MJ's exploits and give a fuck about this topic at all, it would be Millennial. It would be Millennial.
Wow. Cut. Got to run that one over.
Hold on.
Got to be.
My body just rejected that and just pushed it back out. Okay. It would be Millennials.
There you go.
So you saw this article from Vice, this obituary for Millennials.
Yes.
And then kind of got us down this road of like, how many times has this even been a conversation? And apparently it's been like the topic of conversation for years, man. At least the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So at least from the pandemic, people have been doing this like sad song of the millennial generation.
And I did see on social media people commenting on this and other comments about millennial culture being dead, essentially saying that the real cutoff point was the pre-pandemic. It
Right.
ended with the pandemic, essentially. And that's when this new generation began of like, the stuff you liked ain't cool anymore, man.
Yeah.
We've moved on.
Well, we've talked about this even on the show, like the idea of this contrarian culture of, yeah, that thing you were into, guess what? It actually sucked the whole time. And Vice was guilty of this the most. They were one of the ones who were pushing this idea of irony and everything that you thought was fun or cool or funny. Actually, you were wrong. And all the things that you didn't think were funny and didn't think were cool, actually, those things are cool. And I think that the sense of irony that we like had to do to kind of get through conversations and get through social settings has ruined the next generation because they can't take anything seriously. Everything has to be ironic. Everything has to be a parody. Everything has to be sarcastic.
Or deathly serious.
Or deathly serious.
And it's a mark upon your soul if you have the wrong opinion about something.
Yeah. So I am deathly afraid for the next generation. And even honestly, when you talk to certain people now, it's like, dude, it was a joke. Like, it was a joke. Like, it's okay. It doesn't form who I am as a human being. It was a joke.
Forgive me, please.
It's okay. You don't have to be so angry about it. Yeah, but I'm, fuck Gen Z. I'm not going to talk. We're not talking about them. We're talking about the
Good way
obituary
to start, yeah.
for millennial culture.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about here. We're talking about the death of the stuff that we were into, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I'll just give you the intro to this Vice article by Drew Austin. Title is An Obituary for Millennial Culture. IPAs, escape rooms, listicles, smash burgers, Garden State, MySpace, brunch, at Shit My Dad Says, tight jeans, sans serif fonts, life hacks, axe throwing bars, Williamsburg, speakeasies, Urban Outfitters. All will be lost in time like tears in the rain.
that's a reference to a thing that is very not millennial.
No.
Urban Outfitters, axe throwing bars, MySpace.
IPAs, how dare you?
How dare you? People still drink IPAs. Let me tell you something.
I'm people.
We have done, we've done 463 episodes.
Yeah.
So let's just say on average, we've probably done upwards of 200, 250 IPAs on this show.
Yeah.
And that doesn't help the case because we are millennials. So,
Rough.
but I will say, just starting out, some of that stuff is like, what are you talking? Like IPAs, for instance. I work at a bar. If you guys don't know, and IPAs get ordered all the time by every.
I was going to ask.
Every generation.
By guys who look like this?
By guys that look like this, by guys that look like this, by guys that look like this. And even like super young people, they order IPA because they don't know what else to drink.
Sure.
Somebody tells them that like you go to a craft beer bar and you should get an IPA.
IPA.
They do that. So the IPAs thing, I get it.
Yeah.
You know, the beanie like precariously on the back of one's head, the flannel, and then the IPA. I get the image that Vice is going
thick-rimmed
for.
glasses.
Yeah. I get it, but it's wrong.
Yeah.
Just for that one.
Okay.
But anyway, just going to be doing this a lot with this. It's just like wrong. People are still into that. Skinny jeans are not in right now, but they're making a comeback. They're already making a comeback. You can see like runways. They're modeling their models with skinny jeans. Like they're coming back. So,
well, the low rise is now a thing again.
that's
Early 2000s. Cool.
Early 2000s, yeah. Y2K dress in general is a thing.
Right.
Gen Z takes all of our style cues and then they're like, you guys are so cringy and weird. And it's like, you're dressing like us. You're watching our movies. You're
Not
doing
like that. You're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
One of the things that you mentioned seeing as far as a retort to this article itself is why didn't they mention Vice in this entire thing? They did.
No, they
actually.
do. That's funny.
So I'll give you. I have to give this writer Drew Austin credit because
Hey, take that back to Instagram and all the people who were like, "Well, they should have mentioned Vice," because
clearly didn't read the article.
clearly,
The second paragraph, I believe, says if the millennial corpse had already been stiffening for a while, another death certificate was issued in early 2024 when two pillars of the generation's identity, Vice and Pitchfork, already significantly changed since their original 90s to 2000s incarnations, both approached the brink of vanishing altogether.
there you go.
Yeah.
I will say, I'm not ashamed to admit this because I understand who I am as a person, I think. And I understand like my place in this generation, I think. And I was obsessed with Vice and Pitchfork.
Yeah.
Like that. I am firmly the person that they are referring to, at least when it comes to that. Going back to reading reviews, Pitchfork was something that I visited daily.
Yeah.
To read about
High watermark for indie.
Yeah, and even stuff that I didn't like, I still read the reviews, and I was like, or even reviews that I didn't agree with, where I was like, you guys don't. This definitely started my thing where I'm like, oh, white people don't know how to engage with hip hop, and it was mostly because of Pitchfork.
Yeah.
What?
What do you want?
What do you want? Oh,
Go get water.
You're gonna be on camera, so just accept your fate.
Okay.
Pitchfork was one of those things that I read daily, and Vice. I was obsessed with Vice. I thought, especially when I was younger, I was like, Vice is the end all be all of boots on the ground coverage and just irreverent articles about things that you wouldn't think about, or that you do think about in your day to day that doesn't get covered by mainstream media. So I get that. As hard as that is to accept.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I urge people to go and read this article because it seems like it's well written. It is kind of just a screed, though.
Yeah.
About millennial stuff that's fading away.
Kind of feels like that's a lot of articles that get written nowadays.
It feels like a blog, like a personal blog.
Yeah.
Which is fine, is what it is. But
Yeah.
I'll read the last paragraph because I think it's kind of fitting for us talking about social media so much. For a true millennial death rattle, there's no better example than one of the generation's most important representatives, and in many ways the architect of its identity, Mark Zuckerberg.
Ugh.
Now 40, who recently overhauled his public persona in the very, quote, hype dad style that Monahan's, quote, vibe shift essay ridiculed, as an example of those left behind by the vibe shift. Embracing streetwear and MMA and exposing to sunlight in jarring contrast to his familiar nerdy image. As the rest of the millennial zeitgeist fades from view, Zuckerberg's status as an American oligarch, a position he attained by encouraging and then exploiting his own generation's narcissism, ensures unavoidable visibility. If not for the business angle, it would be tempting to call his transformation a midlife crisis, but those belonging to prior generations. Millennials hang on for dear life until the end.
That's funny. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, he is like the perfect example of what is millennial
happening.
culture. Yeah. Well, they brought up MySpace, but Facebook is more apropos, really.
Yeah, I think so. I do think the prime of MySpace was during our generation, though.
Definitely, but we were a little too old for it, I believe. I think Facebook was like prime time. Like we got in, Facebook was already like big, but when it became huge, that was our generation. 18, 19, 20 years old.
There are the elder millennials in their 40s now, so...
Yeah, I guess that's true. You have to think about them.
Yeah, those guys definitely were up when MySpace was huge.
Yeah, huge.
So, huge.
MySpace was... Dude, man, MySpace was...
oh, yeah. Got to pick your top people.
Yeah. It was easy to get like thousands of views on your music too.
Yeah.
Like I would if I put something out, even if it was bad, okay, and we put out a lot of bad stuff, people would still be like, "Yo, I heard that song you put." It would get like thousands of plays.
Yeah. It also helped a lot of people to learn to code.
Yeah.
So a lot of our generation learned how to code because they had a MySpace page they wanted to have a cool background or to add a song to.
Yeah.
So God bless.
I remember
for that.
reading different like articles about how to have the text fall. And
Yeah, oh yeah.
all kinds of
Oh, you can get the Matrix. To start.
Yeah. And the music
Gifting
to
in the
play
background.
and like all that HTML stuff. Like
good
like,
old days.
Yeah, we had no idea we were doing something so sophisticated.
Yeah.
But I think Facebook is really where, for us,
yeah.
mid-30s
Yeah.
and a little bit younger, that's where it really kind of popped off for us.
Yep. And Twitter.
It is interesting because it's our generation. Our generation is the hybrid generation of like we were there just there enough for, VHS and phones on the
Cassettes,
wall and
CDs.
and like old tech,
Yeah.
and then to watch the explosion of all of these things and still be relevant today, still understand technology. We're not in that generation of like, how do you do this? Like we still understand how to do all of these things.
Yeah.
So I understand that the millennial generation is the generation that gets these obituaries written about them. But I also think that it's mostly because like ours is the most enduring generation. Gen X had their time,
and narcissistic.
yeah, definitely for sure, no doubt about that. But I guess what I'm saying is like millennials looked at Gen X and was like, oh, that's so cool. How can I do that thing while also doing it like a little differently? Like, how can I be my own person?
Yeah.
That was like the calling card of being a millennial, was like trying as hard as you could to be an individual.
Yeah. Which is, I feel, natural for the next generation. It's just...
But I don't think that they're doing that.
But I was going to say, it becomes to a point where you conform in unconformity, Like, you become part of that identity of being nonconformist to millennial culture. And that in itself puts you in a box that is now identifiable as a Gen Zer.
Right.
Or a Zoomer.
Right. Right.
So it, as much as you may try to fight it, you will be boxed in.
As we all will be.
There's no way that we all end up in a box, brother.
We all end up in a box. Societal box. Literal box.
Yeah. Pine box.
Pine box. It's always... It is what it is.
So, I get it, but it is still very identifiable when you see somebody of sort of the Zoomer culture. As I'm sure it is very identifiable. I mean, I can say so myself. It's very identifiable when someone is a millennial.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can see it.
Yeah. I just think, I guess, maybe it's the advent of the internet or the innovation of the internet that we just didn't have these kinds of conversations years ago.
Yeah.
And I guess part of the reason is because we didn't have an avenue to have these sorts of conversations. But I just feel like our generation, more so than anybody else, is at the brunt of this sort of thing. Like, I just, Vice has been going on for years. I don't remember them writing an article about the obituary of Gen X. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just feel like that's part of this conversation, and I think that's part of why millennials are always like, dude, we're just existing. And every time we look around, it's like every time we look around, there's some Zoomer on TikTok who's like, millennials and their millennial paws are so cringe. And it's like, we didn't even do anything to you guys. Just let us fucking pause because we don't know when the fucking video's gonna start.
I love that
So
that's
we
a
gotta
tag.
do the pause.
I love that that's a tag on this article.
Is
It's
it?
millennial. It's the first tag on this article from Vice.
So
it's
funny.
millennial pause.
And it's like, yeah, man, we don't know. But you know what? It's better than like starting the video and pretending to fumble with it and then put it down and then be like, guys, and then put food in your fucking mouth and then go, and then put your finger towards the camera and chew for 30 seconds and then do a fucking get ready with me at this.
Yeah.
Like, that's fucking, that drives me fucking insane. And I know that all of that stuff is normal. As so much as the millennial pause was something that I didn't even register until someone pointed it out, and I was like, "Oh wow, we all do that." That I get it, okay, I understand. But yeah, ours is the most like
More authentic though.
all I can think. Yeah, the video starts and then I'm like, so anyway, all I can think about is that one girl who recorded that video where she's like, what? Gen Z wants to cancel
No,
Eminem?
Don't do it.
And then she does hers. And I'm like, that is what people think of when they think of
Yeah.
millennials.
Oh, she is tragically millennial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just like it's I know that I'm guilty of some of that stuff. We all are. And,
Now listen,
and-
little.
little right here. Eminem with Brandon Rappy. And I know we're all guilty of some of that stuff, but I do think that like she is what people have in their mind when they think about stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
Hey man, we don't like that either.
yeah. That's all I'm saying is like
Yeah.
we don't do that. We don't do
No,
that.
We
I hope
understand the
not.
concept of cringe.
Yeah. But
At least for
everything
now.
doesn't have to be cringe.
No.
You don't have to cringe at everything.
You don't.
And maybe it's our fault for thinking that things like, that's cringe. The Noel and that other guy.
Yeah. Don't talk about him anymore. He's still doing stuff.
I know he came
He's
back.
back.
He came back like he did the classic like white guy canceled thing.
That was weird. Anyway.
Just go back to doing what he was doing. Like nobody. And you know what's funny? The first couple of videos, people were like, "Oh, I guess we're just gonna pretend like nothing's going on." Now, if you look at the comments, they just
back to
pretend
normal.
like nothing happened.
Right back to normal.
And his viewership is down for sure,
Sure.
but not down enough that it's stopping him from.
Not down enough.
Not down enough.
Still making money. Enough money to do that for a job.
Yeah.
And DJing, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, he put himself between a rock and a hard place.
He put himself between a minor and going to jail. That's
I
what he
mean,
did.
hey, when you do something like that, you kind of don't set yourself up for success in any way, shape, or
No,
form.
you don't.
So
You don't.
it's kind of hard to feel bad for a guy who does something like that and then becomes famous, and then when people are like, "Hey, wait a minute," and then he's like, "Nah." And there's a bunch of people who are like, yeah.
No,
and he's like,
no. Like, can we talk about my marathon I'm going to do instead?
Yeah, let's talk about that. I don't want to talk about the uncomfortable stuff I was doing when I was like semi-famous.
Yeah.
Let that be a lesson to you guys. Don't be a piece of shit.
Yeah, don't do that.
But yeah, I mean, I think part of it is our fault for thinking that everything like comedy stemmed from irony, fourth wall breaking, cringing at things, being uncomfortable in situations, or making people uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think our generation is going to be marked as one that was way too, I guess, post-sincerity.
Yeah.
And that led to an entire generation that didn't know that sincerity can be a virtue and can be effective and valid.
Yeah, it's sad to like jokes aside, it's sad to talk about. It's sad to talk with people who are younger, 20, 21, 22, and their idea of like there's just no there's no sincerity, they don't want to deal with anything on a realer level.
Yeah.
There has to be some sort of artifice, some sort of layer between the thing,
A safety joke.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff. I mean, we can we can deal with things. There's a time and a place, I think, for our generation to kind of deal with certain things. But this younger generation, I feel sorry for them.
Well, I think what
when it
happens
comes to
that. I think what happens is like the lessons we learn as as millennials, not Gen anything, is passed on not
Gen
to
Millen.
well, fancy. It's not, these lessons aren't very much passed on to the next generation, to Zoomers, but to the generation after that when we have kids, and teach them that it's okay to be cringe sometimes and be yourself.
Yeah.
Et cetera, et cetera. I feel like that's just the natural order of things.
Mm-hmm.
And we can
okay
only
to be
hope
cringe.
hope to learn from our own mistakes as millennials. To
Stop cringing so much about everything.
It's okay.
Don't
Let it
cringe at
go.
everything.
Let it go.
It's okay.
You can be authentic.
Yeah,
It's
you can
alright.
you can drink IPAs. You can still shop at Urban Outfitters.
Yeah.
I mean, you shouldn't.
No.
But you can. They overcharge you for vinyl.
They do. I would never.
Yeah, they put stuff out there that's like, oh yeah, people are into Adele right now, and Michael Jackson's in the news, so we'll put Thriller out, but we'll charge you $45 for. Don't buy anything from Urban Outfitters.
But these kids don't have a record store in 50 miles, so they're gonna go here.
Well, and they don't even understand the idea of like going to a record store and like to buy the record and open the record and play the
Physical
record.
media?
Physical media.
What?
Yeah. I saw people were talking about John Cena's album we came out with when the rapper character was really big. You Can't See Me. It went platinum. It sold 140,000 records in the first week. And somebody posted in the thread, and they were like, 140,000? And it was only 15? Like, who was ahead of him? How? And it's like, dude, you don't understand. But that's how records successful records used to do.
Believe it or
3,
not.
4, 5,000 copies in the first week. Like, that was the level of success. When people talk about, oh, he sold 1 million in the first week, like, that was a big deal. But people were doing 300,000 copies in the first week, going platinum. If you were a successful artist, the goal was not platinum, it was multi-platinum. That the idea was like, you go platinum in the first couple of weeks, and then you get staying power from the second and third single and from the award season and all that stuff.
You had hopes of going diamond.
Yeah, you shook out around 3 to 4 times platinum, and that was a successful album.
Absolutely.
Now you sell 15,000 copies, and it's like, well, I mean, you know, now we're looking at
Not
the
bad.
tour, and we're looking at all this other stuff.
What
and again,
T-shirts do you have?
right? And that's y'all's generation.
Yeah.
Now your standards are lower because everything's all fucked up, and I don't envy. I mean, I'm living in the same shit where I have to deal with the idea of like, oh, this shit sucks now, but
it's different, but I think it all shakes out in its own way. Things are just different, and I think that's the healthiest way to look at it, because they're never going to sell the way they did before streaming was huge.
no, that's over with.
It's over. But
It's over.
you know, streaming has its own revenue stream. Not
No, it
very
doesn't.
good. Not very good. But
Listen, I know you're trying to see the like,
it's silver lining, baby.
and there is none. A lot of this sucks.
You mean you don't want to work for exposure?
Music today sucks. It just sucks.
Now you sound old.
I mean, the long and short of it is, it sucks. The only thing that's going on in this current generation that is better than our generation is the level of exposure you can achieve as an indie artist.
Oh yeah.
That is genuinely a good thing.
But that is also balanced out by the fact that there are so many people making music and having that exposure at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's like everyone has a microphone, everyone has a chance to record something, and
Right.
it's all out there for somebody. It's all published for somebody to pick up.
Yeah. Well, you talk to any young person, especially when it comes to hip hop, and they're like, "Man, you haven't heard of 3,000 Duck Duck whatever the fuck?" And I'm like, no, man, I haven't heard this person. And they're like, no, he's the GOAT. He's the GOAT. And I'm like, okay, I listen to it, and it's just, and I'm like,
Are you talking about Death Grips?
No, these are the kids of Death Grips. These are the kids of Death Grips and Playboy Cardi.
What a band name.
The kids of
The
Death
kids of
Grips.
Death Grips.
Yeah, that's the generation that is listening to music nowadays. So, yeah. And even that is like they don't want to take anything too seriously. So it's like, okay, what is this actually? And it's like, well, who cares? And it's like, oh, that's how we're engaging with this?
There's one answer, and it's a vibe.
Oh, it's a vibe.
It's just a vibe. Just a vibe.
It's a vibe.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I
don't
think
know
we've
how much more I
millennialed
can do
enough.
this.
I don't want to.
I think I
I feel like we're soaked in our own juices right now. It's
Yeah.
just getting uncomfortable.
It's a weird way to phrase it, but I agree.
I'm not going to cringe.
I'm not cringing.
Okay.
This is not cringe.
No.
Yeah.
Sit in it.
You know what else is not cringe?
Ah.
The cheers of the week.
Oh.
This is the moment where you do the opposite of cringe
Yeah.
and you big up something. And
Yes.
You say, this is a cool thing.
This is
a
not
fun thing.
cringe.
You know, sweet stuff, strong stuff.
Yeah.
Great
Gushy stuff.
Gushy stuff. And so I lob it to you, my friend. Obi, what's your cheers?
My cheers of the week goes to The Pitt on HBO.
There you go.
Sherry and I marathoned through it over the course of like a week and a half. And, we were talking earlier on about how good a procedural can be. It's a well-worn genre, kind of. Mm-hmm. And if you want to like subgenre it, the procedural medical show is its own thing too.
Yeah, right.
And The Pit falls perfectly in that slot. But it being an HBO show,
Oh, it's an HBO show?
It's an HBO show.
Oh, I don't know. That was a network TV show.
No. And, I'm thankful it's not, because it's clearly what ER could have been if it was on HBO.
Right.
And that's the best summary I can kind of give it, is like ER, but with an HBO budget and without constraints of a network TV channel.
Right.
So its kind of premise is like it takes place in a hospital where every episode is an hour of a shift. And so, there's clearly a backstory. There's larger, character moments and this whole cast of interesting individual characters that what makes it interesting is like it's a lot of their first days as assistant doctors. What are they? Student doctors. They're student doctors. So they're still
teaching hospital. It's like Scrubs.
Yes, exactly. So they're still learning how to kind of do all this stuff, but they're in the ER, and so it's very intense, and they're like learning on the job, and a lot happens in that one day, and it is just supremely well done, and while keeping some of the constraints of the genre and subgenre that make it comfortable to jump into as someone who, it's not too unfamiliar that you're like, what am I watching? But it's done in such a well thought out way with great writing, great characters, and the entire thing of it being like this almost 24 like show where it's like it is in real time is a really novel idea, and
I always love shows like that.
it's great. It's fantastic, and I think everyone should watch it. It isn't dumbed down in any way. It feels like it respects the audience to just kind of like get context clues for the jargon.
Nice.
And just keep up with it.
Yeah.
And gives you I think the best thing I can say about it is it gives medical workers their props for
Right.
what they do every day, especially in the emergency department. So highly recommend. Check it out. Stressful watch, but very good. Very good.
What did you just say? A show.
They show a birth, is what she's saying.
They show a birth? I'm not watching it. It's disgusting.
Yeah, baby head comes out like.
Jesus
It's
Christ.
hot in there. the Will Ferrell thing. It's hot in there.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
My cheers of the week is going to simply a good night's rest.
Ah.
That's that nice. You know what I'm saying?
I love that. Yeah.
Who wouldn't? And whenever you get one, boy, does it change your life.
I don't know her.
One day.
Yeah.
One day.
Yeah.
One day. I mean, you said you were going to therapy. That's, you said you were the stable genius of the show.
Look,
Stable.
the therapist says get more sleep. Do I? Depends.
On.
Myself?
This is cheers to a good night's sleep, know?
Okay.
And so, I'm done with you. He didn't have anything else to say.
I have no more to
He
say.
didn't have anything else to say.
By that I meant I simply don't, because I choose not to, because I am me.
Exactly. Which I knew that. I knew that going in.
Yeah.
I know.
I stay up playing JRPGs and watching YouTube videos.
All the while he could be getting a good night's rest.
Right.
And, there's times where I'm not in a great mood, not feeling my best, not feeling great. And then you get a good night's rest and you're like, you know what? Maybe I was wrong about a couple of things. Not all the things, but I was wrong about a couple of them.
Okay.
I'm
really glad you could admit that.
Some stuff probably need to work on.
It's really-
Some
really big
things
of you.
maybe I was just upset about because I was just tired. You never know.
Sure.
When you're sick, when you're down, when you're just out, good night's rest. I can't stress it enough. Drink water, sleep more. Not oversleep. A good night's rest.
Yeah.
Don't sleep until 1 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
You
can overdo it.
You can't overdo it. And
Then you wake up more sleepy.
Hey, and that's
it's the
also a sign of
worst.
depression too. Like all you want to do is sleep. That's also something that you need to.
In that case, you get outside. You got to get outside.
You should go outside. You should
Go-
touch grass.
yeah, walk.
You should drink water.
Go for a walk. Get some.
If you
vitamin
don't have
D.
a dog, get a dog.
Get a dog. Pet the dog.
Get
walk the dog.
Get a bottle of water and go walk the dog.
Yeah.
And if you, especially if you live here,
Oh,
you
yeah.
have 10 months out of the year where you can
Sun.
just be outside.
Yeah.
And right now, perfect time. It's
Yeah.
beautiful today. How could you be upset on a day like today? Yeah, it's just beautiful.
Beautiful.
It's a day to remember.
Well, you're
I think
just-
there's like a book or a band or a song, a day to remember.
Yeah. You're just saying that because you got a good night's sleep.
That's true. I
Yeah.
feel so much better. Dude, if we recorded this podcast yesterday, this would have gone south. This would have gone in the opposite direction.
More than usual.
Let me tell you what. Exactly.
Yeah.
But today, I feel pretty great. And it's because I got my 9 hours.
Love it,
Was it
mine.
9? I don't remember. It was close. It was
Okay.
close. It was like 8 or 9 hours.
Good enough.
So there you go.
That's the recommended amount.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Happy for you.
All right. One last thing to do, and that is review these brewskis. So, from Sideward Brewing, it is their Carburetor, a Doppelbock. And, Obi, what'd you think?
I think this is a 5.5.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hate to say it, but they did it again.
Yeah.
The only reason why I cut it down a half is because on first sip, it tastes a little anemic. Like it's a little light, a little lighter than I was expecting it to taste,
Yeah.
flavor wise. But where I sit here today, it's quite good.
Quite good.
I enjoy it a lot.
Quite good.
How about you?
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go with a 5.5 as well.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Doppelbock.
Yeah.
I think they really did something with this one, as they do. Malty, slightly bitter,
Yeah.
not super sweet, not really
A little
sweet.
malty
a
there.
little bready.
Bready.
It's great. A little caramel, Yeah, it's just good.
Yeah.
Just great.
Agreed.
So, a unanimous 5.5. You think we got it?
I know we got it.
Well, if Obi says we got it, then this episode is over. This has been the One Beer In podcast from myself, Marco Duper, for Adam Obesius Rodriguez.
Yeah, buddy.
Thank you guys for listening. Drink delicious beer and have yourself a beautiful evening.
We love you.